So I heard about this couple, husband and wife, that they were having marital problems. The wife was complaining all the time that the husband was not listening to her, and so they decided to go to a therapist. And when they go to the therapist, she immediately started complaining about the same thing. My husband does not listen to me. He never pays attention to what I have to say. So the therapist said, okay, hold on a minute. Let's calm down. So the therapist looks at the husband, and I said, let's start with you. What is your wife's favorite flower? And then he said, that's very easy. Robin Hood, all purpose.
Wah, wah.
So I want to talk to you today about listen to me when I'm talking to you. Have you ever heard that one? Listen to me when I'm talking to you. And has lots to do with this week's Parsha, by the way. Lots to do with this week's Parsha. It's a very intense Parsha, Parsha Vaetchanan. Very, very intense. Lots of things happening here. We have this intense prayer from Moses to God, asking God one more time to allow him to enter to the promised land. But we also have the Ten Commandments, which is basically God talking to the Jewish people. We have the Shema Israel, which it's Shema, listen Israel. So lots to do with the concept of talking or saying something important, and the concept of listening what the other side have to say. Lots. So the other thing that you're going to see in this parsha, in fact, the whole book of Deuteronomy, is also Moses repeating the entire Torah. All the mitzvot, all the commandments of the Torah. And Moses is also going to explain the Jewish people how important it is for them not just to listen, but also to remember everything that he has to say. If you want to learn more about that, you can actually check the Devar in the car for this week. And there I'm talking specifically about remembering what God had to say during the revelation. Okay, you can go check that video in our YouTube and Facebook channels. But today I want to just try to understand about the importance of listening. Because if we want to remember what God has to say to us and everything that our teachers are telling us, if we want to remember the entire Torah and all the messages, all the wisdom, and how the Torah is going to affect our lives, hopefully for the better, first you have to listen. First, you have to pay attention. And I believe that if you analyze a little bit more of the Ten Commandments and the Shema Israel, those are both parts of this covenant that we made with God. And I say we, the Jewish people, made with God a very special covenant. But the covenant has these two parts. And it's a mutual agreement. So when you read something like the Ten Commandments, the Shema Israel, and many other things in the Torah, we realize that this is a two-way thing. God is talking to us, but God at the same time opened a door for us to talk to God. Exactly what I was mentioning today before the Amida, that God is always listening to us. God is always paying attention to what we have to say. And I would say the polite way to do it is to return the favor and for us to listen to God and pay attention to what God has to say. Then you can decide if you like it or not. But first, you have to stop and listen. You have to stop and pay attention. And I realize that, yes, we are all talking about the people of Israel and God, but at the same time, this is the secret for any healthy relationship. Right? To be able to listen and to pay attention to the other. Sometimes we have lots of things to say. We are expecting the other person to pay attention to what we have to say. But we have to think from the other side. And we have to learn. And I want to say we, and I'm sure I include everyone, including myself. I have lots to learn to be able to stop and listen and to pay attention. It's a very important thing. So, when we read today, Shema Israel, listen or hear Israel, It's interesting that the next line after the Shema Israel is the paragraph that Cantor Leslie read beautifully today. Ve'ha'avta et Adonai Elohecha, and you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. I don't think it's a coincidence of this 1-2. Listen and love. They are both deeply connected. I think sometimes this active act of listening is deeply connected to the concept of love. Because you see, the thing is, and I don't know how that happened, maybe you can blame Hollywood and the movies for this, or some books. We believe that love is a feeling, right? We believe that, loving someone is to have that deep feeling of love for the other person. And that is the way we measure love. You have that feeling, you love the person. You don't have that feeling, you don't love that person anymore. But I don't think that's the kind of love that the Bible is trying to teach us. In the Torah, love is not so much of a feeling, but love is action. Love is something that is expected for each of us to do. Look at the Shema. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol miyadecha. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And all these laws that I prescribe to you today, you should do it. There's a whole list of actions of things we should do in our lives. And that set of actions is what describe the love that we feel for God. Yes, of course, it's important to have and to develop that strong feeling inside ourselves, but it's also important to be a way for us to express that love to God. And when we are talking about God here, sometimes we forget that at the same time, all these principles apply to human relationships. And we all know many people that they say, I love you, but the behavior shows all the opposite. And that's not real love. Doesn't matter what you feel inside yourself. If the behavior is not there, that's not real love. And this is a very important moment to reflect on those things. After all, this is Tu B'Av, the day of love in Judaism. And it's an invitation to revisit our relationships, revisit the way we are interacting with each other, and of course, the way we are interacting with God. Are we able to listen to the others? Are we able to pay attention? Because those are the important things that we have to learn in order to have healthier and stronger relationships. I know, sometimes it's not easy. We live busy lives, lots of noise around, and we know that in order to listen to something, you need to have a quiet environment. Doesn't matter what it is. If there is lots of noise around, it's going to be very difficult to listen what's going on, right? So sometimes we can't get that quiet that we need to fully listen, but we have to try anyway. Sometimes we are going to fail, but sometimes we're going to make it. And those moments are going to make a huge impact for the good in our relationships. You see, also in this parsha, Moses is talking about the 6 cities of refuge that the people of Israel should have in the land. And there was something that if you kill somebody by mistake, you could escape to those 6 cities of refuge, so the family of the victim won't come and they will do any kind of a vigilante action against you. So you can go to those cities and you will be protected there. The interesting thing is 3 of these cities were in the other side of the Jordan. And the other 3 were in the land of Israel itself. So the rabbis explained that 3 of the cities will be on the other side, so Moses will have the ability to see some of this accomplishment in his own lifetime. But yes, Moses helped to create those 3 cities on the other side of the Jordan, but the reality is none of those cities will be functional, will become cities of refuge until the entire land of Israel will be settled and all the land will be split among the tribes. And then and only then, many, many years after Moses' death, the city of refuge will become actual city of refuge. So the rabbis are asking, Why did Moses start doing this thing in the other side of the Jordan if he knew that chances were, unless God changed his mind, that he will never actually achieve the fullness of that task? That task will never be perfectly completed in his lifetime. But nevertheless, he tried, and that's the message. Because sometimes we don't know if we are going to be successful or not. But that's not an excuse for not doing the best we can to achieve our goals. So Moses is bringing here an amazing teaching for all of us. We know that there are many important things to do in life. For example, to learn how to listen, to learn how to stop and pay attention to others. It's hard. I know. It's hard. But just like Moses, we have to remember that we are not trying to be perfect. All what we're trying to do is to give our 100% and to do the best we can towards the achievement of a goal. And that is teaching us that in order to be able to listen, in order to be able to pay attention, we also have to be understanding that we can never achieve perfection. And if we can understand this thing about each other, then we have the best chance to have solid relationships and real love when we can listen, pay attention, and to show love through behavior, through understanding, and through companionship.